Hey, what's happening everybody? I am back with a promised video. Yes, I know, that sooner than you think claim that I've made in the previous video didn't quite turn out to be true. Well, kinda. It's been a month and I have no argument to justify that. I am just a lazy bum and I spent my entire winter holidays mainly playing GTA rather than working on a new video. That said, something that you probably don't expect claim is still valid, because today, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see me as a Pokemon player from a different, truly competitive perspective, because this is the first battle of NU Champions League tournament that I took part of invited by Raymond. What is unusual about this tournament is the way you make your team. Instead of choosing any 6 Pokemon, we used a draft system, meaning that all of the participating players took turns in choosing a single Pokemon which couldn't get picked by anybody else afterwards. All of us had 10 drafts and we have to stick with chosen Pokemon, with ability to make only 3 substitutions throughout the tournament and the ability to exchange Pokemon with other players if they agree to do so. Unfortunately, I wasn't around when the drafting was going on, so 9 out of my 10 pokes were picked for me by Raymond, which is why, next to the stuff that I like to use like Articuno or Grumpig, we have broken NU stuff like Soak or Gorgeist. But maybe it's better that way, because I genuinely want to do good this tourney and those pokes will certainly help me with that. Last but not least, we all knew each other's drafts, and looking at the pokes of my week 1 opponent by the name of Hanna, I realized that majority of them is countered by Articuno, which I equipped with Choice Scarf to make sure that it outspeeds everything barring Scarfed Mismagius or Archeops, neither of which isn't common. The only things that put Articuno to stop, Musharna and Clank, are dealt with using Bandit Soak with Knockoff, and if that doesn't work, there is a Liepard, which is the only poke that I picked myself and it proves to be a good choice later down the road, and a good old reliable Spin Slash. So let's get into it and see how that strategy worked out. I lead off with sub-nasty plot Simisear, seeing a Piloswine as a potential stealth rock lead and a good opportunity for an early setup. Hanna, however, puts a Musharna on the leading spot, telling me that it's probably a Trick Room variant. Knowing that there is nothing I can do if she just clicks Trick Room right now, I decide to stay in and set up a substitute so that I can stall it out and switch out to Liepard in the right moment to encourage on Psychic. She switches straight to Lantern though, telling me that her Musharna probably doesn't take hits well on a special site, meaning that Articuno might be able to break through it later on. For now, I just go for a Focus Blast to see how much it does and learn that it is indeed her specially defensive wall. Fortunately, I also have a very good special wall, being my Grumpig, and don't really care about getting T-Waved as it is carrying a Heal Bell. I don't want to reveal it just yet though, so instead I go for a Toxic and catch her Piloswine on the switch. Knowing that this thing is most likely here to set up a Stealth Rock, I go straight to my Sandslash to spin them away. But first, I set up my own rocks to cripple her Archeops, which is as much of a threat to my team as Articuno is to hers. Meanwhile, she switches to Vileplume to scare me off, but knowing that this thing is slower than me, I go for a Rapid Spin, because since she didn't bring a Clank, keeping rocks away from my side is about all I need Sandslash for. Although doing a ton of damage, Giga Drain is not enough to one-shot my Slash, so I go for a knockoff before she gets to finish me off. Then I bring my Articuno, and knowing that she isn't going to stay in, go for a U-turn, which I am carrying just to gain momentum, but I am also hoping that it will mess with her mindset a little, maybe make her think that I'm a physically oriented variant, so that I can catch her off guard later. She goes back to Piloswine, and now that Sandslash is down, I am definitely not letting this thing set up the rocks again, so I go straight for a close combat. I know, she has a defensive Vileplume. Does that worry me? Not in the slightest. Just look how much damage it took. Good lord! That's an easy to hit KO. If Hanna had any doubt what item is my Soak holding, I'm pretty sure that turn cleared it up for her. And the first kill of the tourney goes to Soak. I bet you never saw that coming. But of course, there is no Rose without a Thorn, and the Thorn is in this case getting paralyzed from Effect Spore, meaning that Soak won't be doing any more damage until I get off a Heal Bell with Grumpig. that also gives her a perfect opportunity to bring in Musharna and either set up a Trick Room, a Calm Mind, or just go for a Psychic, so I immediately switch to Liepard to incur it on any of these. Then I go for a knockoff as she once again tries to bring her Piloswine, and it does enough to be a 2-hit KO from this range. Now, although I am carrying a Sucker Punch, I don't want to go for it in case she predicts it and sets up rocks in my face, so I just follow it up with another knockoff, even though I take quite a lot of damage from Ice Shard in exchange. So one thing is for certain, my Articuno is now safe to do some late game cleaning as long as her Musharna and Lantern are weakened down enough. I switch to Grumpig to sponge another Volt Switch from Lantern, but now Hanna tries to put pressure on me by bringing her Pangoro, which is a total mystery to me, but something tells me that I don't wanna stay in with Grumpig against this thing, so I switch to Simisear to take a hit instead. Now, this right here is quite interesting. I forgot to mention that my Simisear is holding a Salak Berry to go with a sub Nasty Plot set, and Crunch brings me down low enough to activate it, which at first I thought is useless, because Simisear naturally outspeeds Pangoro anyway, but after the battle I found out that this is a Choice Scarfed Pangoro, so that Salak Berry boost is the only thing stopping her from finishing me off right here. So I get to wear her Lantern a bit more with another Focus Blast, after which it's definitely in the range of a Freeze Dry from Kuno, but I don't really want to bring it in on a Volt Switch and take unnecessary damage, so once again I go to Grumpig to sponge it. She however just goes for a Scald instead, which is definitely a mistake on her part, because had she just Volt Switch again right here, she could go right back to Pangoro and keep a pressure on me, but because she gave me a free turn, I don't waste it and go for a Heal Bell, so my Soak is back in action. But now we start the death foddering game. First one to go is my Simisear to Pangoro, then her Lantern goes down to knockoff from Soak, but right after she brings in a threat of her own and forces me to death fodder my Grumpig. She goes for a U-turn though, which now gives me a switch advantage, so I go back to Soak to finally do what I intended it to do in the first place. Wear down this Musharna and give Articuno a green light to clean up. However, I get totally surprised by her Cold Berry, but that's a part of preparing against the particular team that you know beforehand. She knew that I have a Liepard and a Soak, which most likely will be carrying knockoff, so she prepared her Musharna to take one of these if necessary. Very respectable. To make matters worse for me, although there is no reason to use Mold Breaker against Hanna's team, I simply forgot to change it to Sturdy while I was preparing my team, which would have made a huge difference right here, as I wouldn't die to a Psychic and she would be left with a choice. Either let her Musharna die or let her Pangoro lose its item. But because my Soak did go down, now I need to make sure that she doesn't get a chance to recover off with a Moonlight, because that could potentially cost me the game. So to force her to switch, I go to Articuno, but decide to make another risky play and U-turn out to Liepard predicting her Archeops to come in. She just stays in and goes for a Thunder Wave though, so I kinda get away with my unnecessary predictions by incurring her on it and finally taking out with a knockoff. She goes back to Pangoro, and at this point I realize that if this is an Assault Vest variant and I let my Liepard die right here, I will have to lock myself on a Hurricane and lose to her Archeops, and if this is a Bandit Pangoro and I switch to Articuno as it goes for a superpower, I have also lost because Liepard cannot touch it. With that in mind, I decide to make the most sensible play in that situation and try to rely on a Parahax, so I T-Wave her Pangoro before it takes me out with a Storm Throw. Having confused this move with a Circle Throw, I am now almost certain that this thing is holding an Assault Vest, and I was very close to pressing a Hurricane button, but at the last second I said fuck it and clicked an Ice Beam instead. It turns out to be a game-changing decision, because by the damage taken, I learned that she is not holding an Assault Vest after all, and she also gets fully paralyzed on that turn, but knowing that it was in fact Choice Scarfed, that full para didn't actually matter, because Storm Throw has only 10% chance of 2-hit KOing me from full health, and even if she got a max damage on the first one, I would have still taken it out with another Ice Beam before she got to do that. Her Archeops turns out not to be scarfed as well, easily goes down to another Ice Beam, and that is the game. Good game, Hanna, and I genuinely mean it. If I had clicked Hurricane like I initially wanted to, you would have taken it, so it really couldn't end up closer. That is the first NUCL game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, because you won't be seeing anything else with the upcoming uploads, so if you liked it, make sure to show that with the appropriate button. If you didn't, well, there is a button to show that too. In any case, I see you all next time.